Hey everyone, and welcome to another lesson. Today we're going to be talking about the soap opera sequence. This is a sequence of emails. Really high level, just think of it as the first few emails you send to your subscribers. And the goal here is to get them engaged, maybe even get them to like you a little bit. But one way or another, get them interested in what you have to say, and more likely to open those emails when they come from you, okay? Are you ready? Let's dive right into it. Okay. Let's start with why anybody buys anything. The short answer is pain or pleasure. Now, in general, people are actually far more likely and more motivated by pain than they are pleasure. And this makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. You know, would our ancestors have been more afraid, or more motivated, I should say, by a lion chasing them, or the berries they were gathering to eat? Right? Studies have shown that this rule even extends to the same item. In other words, let's say you didn't have a car. You'd probably want one, right? You'd be like, oh yeah, I'd like a car. But if I gave you a car, you would hate it even more if I tried to take that car away. Does that make sense? It's a bigger deal to give up something you already have than to want something you don't have. I hope that makes sense. There's a ton more psychology behind this, but these are the main motivators that humans seek anywhere in life. When it comes to pulling out their wallets and purchasing something, though, we're talking about value. Now, we could get into what value is too, but all that really matters is how a person perceives the value of something. And if it's higher than the price, then they'll buy. That's how simple it is. Value can have to do with how urgent something is, what other people are saying about it, all kinds of other stuff. But real value is the result that you're promising to give them with your product. Some outcome or future that they want. Remember, this is benefits versus features. We're talking about the benefit. What is the outcome that they want? Okay, so then the question is, where do people buy? Or another way of saying that is, who do they buy from? And one thing is certain. People buy from people they like. I hope you like me at this point if you're my customer. So one of your biggest jobs is to get people to relate, understand, and like you and your brand. Hey, I'm a poet. Didn't even realize that. One of the best ways to do that is to create your own attractive character. Okay? I initially learned this term from Russell Brunson, and it's as simple as it sounds. You need to let your audience see you as someone to look up to and learn from. And it's not as hard as it sounds. You can pick it up as you go, as long as you stay one step ahead of them. I'll make this into a completely separate, or maybe multiple lessons, because there's a lot that goes into making your correct character, or your attractive character. You guys all hear that, Blue Jay? Yes, you're very pretty. Okay, so here's the quick and dirty of it, though. You need to have an expertise. You need to have a backstory. You definitely need to have flaws, believe it or not. And you have to have a mission of some kind. With this in place, people can look up to you, understand you, relate to you, and want to follow you all at the same time. The whole point of this soap opera sequence is to introduce your subscribers to your attractive character and get them to like you. There you are, superhero, attractive character. Okay, that may seem like a long introduction, but I strongly recommend you learn as much as you can about this stuff, and I promise I'll make that as easy as possible. Remember that knowledge is power, and if you can grasp this stuff, people want to buy from you. Now, before we dive into the material, let's look at a fun quote, I should say. Soap opera seems to be a dirty word, but actually they're the most popular shows we have. People want to know what happens next. People hate the villains and love the lovers. Dan Stevens said that, and I mean, let's just accept that soap operas are engaging and leave it at that, whether you watch them or not. There are a lot of people that watch them, and there's a reason. Humans are innately designed to want to follow these stories, okay? Does that sound good? All right, let's all get on board. So, if you're skeptical about this process, just keep in mind, that the story will work. And you just, suspend any disbelief for the time being and come up with your own story and watch it in action. Okay, plus it can be kind of fun to write your own story, right? Especially if it's about you. We all like writing and talking about ourselves. All right, are you ready for the sequence of your soap opera? Let's go over the 3 parts, and then we'll use my current sequence as an example to solidify the concepts. The first email your subscribers should receive opens with a point of high drama. I don't need to tell you that, with attention spans as they are today, we need to be disruptive to grab people's attention. We do this by starting with the most dramatic part of our story. It should be personal, and it should be emotional. You'll end this first email with a hook that makes them expect and want to read tomorrow's email to learn more about the story. Okay? On day 2, you'll get into your backstory. But remember, even your backstory isn't about you. That is, if you want to connect with someone else, it's really about them. So you need to start by meeting them where they are. Hey, I was just like you. ... You tell them the path that you took from where they are now, and you take them up to a point of high drama from yesterday, right? Then, here's the important part in the second step. You run them into some kind of barrier, something that was preventing you from getting what you wanted, and that might be preventing them from even trying. Okay? It could be that they haven't even tried yet. They haven't run into this barrier yet, but they see it as an obstacle, and it's actually stopping them from even trying. You'll finish this email with, tomorrow I'll tell you what I learned, or something to that effect, right? You'll allude to the final step, which is the epiphany. The epiphany was how you broke through that barrier, how you got everything you wanted in life, and how they can too. Okay, that's a little extreme, but you get the idea. You want to share with them the solution to their problems, and you guessed it, it's your product. Now, you probably gave them something free to get them on your list in the first place. So this next step should be a low price point product, but you want to try to get them in the door at this point. And it's possible very few will buy right now, but that's okay. The main goal that you've accomplished with this sequence is that you've developed a relationship and you have them on your list now, so you can sell to them in the future. All right. So, one quick note, this does not have to be 3 emails. I think that's the minimum it should be, though, because there really are these 3 steps that you need to take them through. But it could be more. If you have a more dramatic story or whatever it is that you find works down the road, trial and error, test it out. But for now, I really recommend you model after my sequence, and I think it'll work out great for you. You just put your own story, your own spin on it. Okay, so I'd like to just draw it out. For me, I kind of need the big picture sometimes to paint it out for me, and then I can really understand what's going on. So why don't we draw out kind of the big idea, and then we'll look at my sequence for examples. Alrighty. Let's bring in a little paint here. And let's just draw it. So here we are. This is kind of what our story looks like. We're going up, we're going up, we're going up. Here's a high point here. Okay, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. And then, boom. Now, that doesn't make much sense yet, but let's put some put some points in here. So here is where you're starting. That's the high point, the high drama. Okay? That's where the first email begins. That's how you hook them. That's how you disrupt. That's how you entertain. Then you're going to lead into the second email over here. This is your backstory. And it leads up to that point of high drama. All right? In the second email, in this backstory email, you go back up to the point of high drama, right here, and then you run them into this barrier, right? There's all kinds of stuff going on here that's causing issues, causing trouble for them to get what they want, maybe even begin, stopping them from beginning, okay? You run them into this barrier, and then in the third email, you say, aha, right here though, after all this trial and error, I had this epiphany. And this is what I needed to fix everything, to get what I wanted, and from then on, it was smooth sailing. And then you basically say, this epiphany, I did all this trial and error, you don't have to. Here, I've given you the answer, and it's my product. Okay? That is the general idea here. So with that, for more example, why don't we look at my current sequence and try to maybe make it a little more tangible, right? Now you've probably all seen this sequence already, but why not just review really quick? Okay. So here's the first one. Look at my opening sentence. You won't be promoted to senior with the rest of your class. Now, taken out of context, that may not make complete sense, but one thing's for certain, anybody that reads it understands enough to know that it's not good for whoever it's being told to, right? You won't be promoted, with everybody else, all your peers. And I get into, some pretty dramatic speak. I get down to this point here, and I talk about how my dignity was insulted, and I felt like some of my dignity was being taken away. And also, even in here, I get into a little bit of how dramatic that is indeed. But to me, that is how it really felt. I really felt like I was being just insulted, disrespected, and dragged through the mud, okay? So then the rest of the email I spend talking about, was it me? What was I messing with? And then I realize, here's the problem. It's the corporate game. And notice I'm already starting to connect with where I expect my audience to be. They're playing the corporate game, and they're probably dealing with some of the same issues I was. I talk about basically what BS it is. I make a common enemy. People love common enemies. And then I say, this is what I really wanted. I wanted to stop playing this crappy game. I wanted to do something else. And I say, is this how you feel? Well, I found a way to get out of that game, empower myself, and do something else. So what game did I decide to play? Stay tuned for tomorrow's email. That's the hook. So they read this, they get a little bit entertained because it is so dramatic, and then they say, I think I'm actually going to look for tomorrow's email. Okay, tomorrow's email, we bring in the backstory, and we start to say, here's what I dealt with in my life. I understand there's this current system, the corporate America. I went through the whole thing that you went through. I'm meeting them where they are. And I say, I guess I followed the path of least resistance. This is what I felt I was doing what I was supposed to, what everyone else was doing, what everyone else was telling me to do. And so I'm really trying to relate with where they are right now. We already went over some of the problem, right? We are now focusing on here's where you are and I once was too. Then I talk about, here's what I learned, and I went through all kinds of trial and error. You're alluding to the fact that they don't need to do this if they understand the epiphany I had. I say, that's what I want to share with you. Tomorrow I'll talk about what I call a knowledge business, how I made the leap from employee to entrepreneur, and how if you want, you can too. So I'm alluding to my epiphany and trying to make this so appealing that they're going to say, yes, I want to as well, and I will read that email. Okay, continuing to develop the relationship. So the final email, I even start off by saying, yesterday I left you thinking about a knowledge business, and if you want to leap from employee to entrepreneur, this is your shot. Then I basically just go through how amazing this concept is, how you can actually create automated income, and start to build a business around something that really excites you, that you're passionate about, that you actually want to get up for each day. I make it very appealing, right? And I even tell them how it works. I'm not hiding anything here. I give them the what. This is what you need. But it's the what and the why. Amy Porterfield talks about this. You're telling them the what and the why, but not the how. The how is your product. So I basically go through the what and the why. Here's what it is, and here's why you need to do it to get what you want. Right there. There's the whole formula, right? And then I say, this is the Start to Success formula. All right, that's my product. Here's what you need. And if you want to get it, just click the button below. Like I said, maybe not a lot of people will buy it the first time they read this email. Again, they've just been introduced to you, but you've already given them something free. And chances are that they're like, oh, at a low price point, maybe I will invest in this. And I really liked his free stuff, so his paid stuff should be even better. That's the concept here. But in any event, even if they don't buy now, you have them as a subscriber and you've developed a bit of a relationship. They're going to be much more receptive to your messages in the future. All right. Hope that all makes sense. Now, let's just go through some pro tips here to make sure your sequence is as good as it can be. First, at the end of each of your emails, subjects, put in the subject, day 1 of 3, or 2 of 3, 3 of 3. Or if you're doing more, whatever it is, right? The idea here is this makes the subscriber want to catch the whole story. If he sees that it's day 2, he knows he missed day 1, and he may actually go back, dig through trash, spam, whatever email to find it. You're engaging them. Second, in your emails in general, keep your paragraphs short. It should move quickly, again, because of attention spans, and you want to keep it engaging and exciting. Third, in this process, selling is secondary. In this sequence, it's secondary. You want to engage, gain interest, get them to like you. You can and probably should lead back to your offer at the end of the sequence, like I said, but that is a secondary goal here. Okay. That is it. Let's do a quick review of the sequence and make sure it is right solid in your head. We start with high drama, which should be emotional and personal, and end with a hook to get them back tomorrow. Then we move into the backstory, where we meet them where they are and walk them into a barrier before alluding to the solution for that barrier in tomorrow's email. And finally, we share the solution as our epiphany and lead it back to our product. Okay, I know this is going to be super useful for your business, and I'll leave you with this thought right now. Your email list is potentially, most likely, the most valuable part of your business. Google doesn't own it. Twitter doesn't own it, whatever. You don't have to pay YouTube to make ads to reach them. You can reach out to this list at any point, and if you develop the relationship correctly, you can make sales. So treat this process very seriously. Developing this relationship, nurturing it, and getting people to like you and want to hear more from you is amazing. Once you've gone through this sequence, then you have a list you can reach out to anytime and just sell any new product you have, any new thought you have, whatever. And that's what we call Seinfeld emails. But that is for another lesson, okay? Like I said, I know this is going to be super useful for your business. Really excited for you, and I will see you in the next video.